it's a semi-open file here. Okay, we have, and now it's white to play here. So think about it for a little bit and try to evaluate this position and see who is better and why. White is an isolated pawn, but it's very well protected, and it also makes the e7 pawn weak. So if you had to give me an evaluation, who do you think is better here, and whether or not white is slightly better, maybe much better, or maybe it's just equal?
Does it matter whose move it is?
It's white to play.
White.
White to play. It's white to play here.
Yes. Say anything? I want to say, I thought it was saying probably what is better, both space.
Has space, yes.
And the pieces seems more coordinated and attacking. And I think white can take the light away. Usually for knight, his pawn will be pretty strong in the center pawn. The d pawn will be strong if his bishop exchanges the knight.
Okay, you want to take this knight?
Yeah, probably also black e7 pawn may be weak.
Well, yes. I mean, white is more active, and e7 pawn is weak. But one thing, you don't want to take on f6 here, because if you take, he takes lots of weak dark squares now, and e7 pawn is not that weak anymore. Okay, so you don't want to take on f6 in this position. But so you think white is better? White is slightly better, or white is a big advantage? If you think white is better here. If you had to evaluate this position here. Yes?
I think white is significantly better. It looks like a lot of the black pieces are immobilized. You can't move the knight because of the e7 pawn. You can't move the light square bishop. There's just no squares for it. I think you just maneuver your white pieces to get to places that you want. You could win the e7 pawn in just a few moves, I think.
Very good. White is much better here. Actually, you make a good move here, and after that, it's a big advantage. And one more thing I'm looking for you to mention here, why white is better. If you look at the position carefully, you will notice that there is a reason white is better. So let's.
White's rooks are pretty good.
Excellent. White's almost completely developed, except his queen, which he's going to develop next move. And look at the rooks. See? Black is yet to develop these pieces. So you actually have a lead in development here. Your pieces are more active and you have pressure. From the first glance, it doesn't really look like black is really in big trouble here. But few moves later, you will see he's going to have a big problems here. So what's the best move here for white? White, we know now that white is much better here. But what's the best move here? Yes. Knight e4, you could do that, but before knight e4 is probably good, but before you do knight e4, you want to complete the development. In general, it's a good idea to finish the development before you think about attacking. Okay? So what's the right move here to finish the development? And stop him from moving your bishop. See? He wants to push this. Yes?
Queen d2?
Absolutely. Queen d2. Not only you develop your queen, you stop the h6 move, and also you just connected your rooks. Okay? So it's all around an excellent move. It's always good to make a move that will combine several ideas. And here you combine stopping this move, connecting the rooks, and developing a piece. So queen d2, and now he played queen d7, developing the queen and trying to connect the rooks, and now a very strong move you need to find here. Because if you don't play energetically for the next few moves and you allow black to get this rook in and get this piece in, you will have maybe a slightly better position, but not a big advantage. So you always have to try to recognize in which positions you need to play energetically and which positions you need to slowly build up. Like in a previous game, you see I was just building up, but at a position like this, it's a more of an open position. and more concrete play needed here. Now white has a strong move here, and our target is the e7 weak pawn. Let's, you could go queen to e3, but he just goes rook f8, and in general you don't want to attack with the queen because it's easier to defend, because even if you pile up you can take with a queen. So you want to wait on the queen e3 hit. You have a better move here. Yes. Excellent. Knight e4, activating the knight, putting pressure on f6, and also threatening to go where? With this knight?
Knight c5.
Absolutely. Knight c5 also threatening here. So black doesn't have that much choice, so he takes. Now how are you going to take back? With a pawn or with a rook? Absolutely. Not even a question. You're not going to take with a pawn, and no more pressure on the e7. I mean slight pressure. And he can put his bishop, and now he'll have an excellent square for the bishop. And normally you don't want to block your rook. If your rook is on a half open file, semi-open file, you don't want to block it. So now you take rook e4, putting pressure here. So he has to go here. Now rook c2 e1, putting pressure. And now in this position black has two options. First of all, who can tell me why f6 is losing? Why is this move losing? d6. Discovery check with a bishop, and then you can just take on e7. f6 is very bad. If he plays bishop f8, that's the move. But if he plays bishop f6, what do you do for white? You take it. He takes it. The next move is very important, because if you don't play this move, you're not going to have a big advantage.
D6.
Absolutely. d6. You want to push this pawn. Not only it's going to be strong, because also it will open the position of your bishop. And now after you have a pawn on d6, what is your threat? Rook to e7. So that's why it's going to be very strong for you to have a pawn on d6. So bishop f6 is bad because of that. Oh, by the way, I actually wanted to show you a line. If he takes, sorry. Now he goes rook d8. What's the best move here for white?
Rook e7.
Don't rush, think. When it's very important not to rush. If you go rook e7, he takes on d6. And you take, he takes back with the rook, and the problem is Jason back rank. Okay? The back rank is a problem. So you always have to be extremely careful if there are threats.
Queen d5.
You could go queen d5, but you have something even better than that. Yes. Something better than queen d5. See, he's threatening to take the pawn on d6.
Bishop takes f7.
Not yet, not yet. We're not ready. We're not ready for sacrifices. I mean, bishop f7 and queen takes f7. What's the follow-up?
Queen takes or?
Queen takes.
What about queen to d4?
Queen d4 is the move is suggested, but he just he takes on d6. Queen to e3. See, actually, you have a tactical idea that you need to see here. You have a tactical idea here.
Okay, so queen d4, you say he just takes on d6?
Queen d4, he takes on d6.
But what about, okay then, so what about rook down check?
Takes.
And then And then queen takes queen. Oh, background. Oh, yeah.
Aha. Now I think now you will find the move then, because you see the idea. You see the idea. Rook e8. You have that. What you want to do to prevent his idea first?
H3.
Quiet move. H3. After which, now can he take the pawn?
No.
Check.
Right.
If he moves away, we take the rook, and we're up a rook. And if he takes our rook, we take the queen, and we don't have to worry about the background, right? Because we have the escape square for the king. So it's very important to find a move h3, because if you don't find h3 here, you're not going to have a big advantage. You're going to have to put your rook back here and defend, and you might not win. Because then he will bring his bishop to a better position, put the king on g7. You have advantage, but you're not breaking through here. Okay, but after h3 you win because you go rook e7 next. Okay, like, okay, we can look a little bit more if you like. Push, you go here, check, can come here. If you go, he probably has to go back here, and then what's the winning move? Mate. From h7 or g7. He can't even go to d1 because bishop takes. So that's why he played in this position. He played bishop f8. And now, what do you do now? Yes, you have lots of pressure, but looks like he is defending it. What can you do to break through now? So he cannot defend anymore this e7 pawn. Very nice idea for white here. d6, and if I capture, pawn takes.
I'll take your rook.
Rook takes.
Take your
Queen takes. Idea, it's interesting to open it up, but you have to calculate, make sure you have something, because you lose the pawn, you're not going to have that much compensation.
Queen e2.
No,
Oh,
his black bishop.
no, queen e3.
Bishop a4, but it looks like he just put opposes his bishop. That doesn't.
Yeah, you don't want to exchange it. You don't want to exchange your bishop with his bishop.
Maybe no h4, something like that.
Yes, h4 is an idea, but you have something stronger. It's a tough move to find, because you have to look at it this way. Which piece is defending the position of the black king and also protecting his main weakness? Bishop. His bishop is a very important piece here. So you go bishop h6, and now he's in big trouble, because you want to take his bishop. If he takes back with the rook, he loses the pawn. So after bishop h6, black played queen d6, bishop takes. Now he took with the rook, and after this, white is already up a pawn and excellent position, winning. But if he takes with the queen, what do you do? Do you see the idea now?
Queen check.
Queen check, rook h4. That's it. See, that bishop is a very important piece here, okay? That defending his king and also defending the weakness. By exchanging this bishop, now you take advantage of the weak dark squares that he has. See, I think this is a very important moment here to actually find the move bishop h6. It's not a move you're going to find, because we are thinking a little bit differently usually during the game. We're thinking, oh, we have an active piece and he has a passive piece. And normally we don't think about exchanging it. But here you need to realize the bishop on f8 has a very important role. It's actually defending. It's the only defender the king has here, is the bishop. So you eliminate the defender, you activate the queen, and then you swing the rook over, and you win the game. Okay? So basically in the game, black, after bishop h6, he played queen d6, and takes, rook e7. He played rook ac8, and after queen d4, black just won. Black is going to win another pawn on a7 now, and just winning. I mean, in a position like this, you have an extra pawn. in a better position, more active pieces. So one more thing I want to ask you here. What if he makes this kind of move? It's very important not to get confused, you know, when opponent makes a move that looks really kind of strange move. He just puts the bishop there. Because if you take it, he wants to take your bishop on h6. If you take his bishop, he wants to make an in-between move, take your rook first.
Rook h4.
You could do rook h4, but you have something better. You could do rook h4, but you have something better here.
How about rook e3?
Bishop takes h6. Yeah.
B5.
Let's think. Think about it. Think.
Bishop A4.
Bishop a4 right away, he has b5. Bishop b4 right away, he has bishop a4 right away, he has b5. What can you do first?
Why not take the bishop and then play bishop a4?
Take the light square bishop, and he takes. Very nice. Winning the exchange. Okay? Okay, excellent. Very good. So we saw, and this is how you can also improve your endgame. You know, you get into a position, improve your middle game. Because this is, we are just right after the opening. This is the middle game here. Where you look at the position and you try to come up with a plan. In the middle game, the most important thing is to find the right plan. And here, your plan is to go queen d2, develop the queen, and then go knight e4, and put pressure. And the key move, of course, what's the most important move in this position? Bishop h6, where in fact you have a better, more active piece, but you exchange this piece because his bishop is defending the king and the e7 pawn. Okay, so this is how you play when you have the open file or semi-open file. More like a semi-open file because the main play is on an e file. So it's how to play on a semi-open file. Okay. Okay, now what I would like to do is I would like to do a couple of endgame studies with you. Okay. So this is going to be very difficult, but it's really creative ideas that you need to find. How many of you do endgame studies when you're training? 2. Do you know any famous study composers? Studies are positions that are not actually played; they're composed. They actually even have grandmasters in compositions. These studies. Yes. Kasparian.
Yeah.
Exactly. Kasparian. Yes.
Reti.
Reti, not sure. Might be Reti, but another one is very famous composer is Troitsky. Troitsky. They have Kubel, Troitsky, Kasparian. These are very famous composers. Okay, so now we will do some exercises on studies. Okay, I like to do studies, and that was part of the training that I had when I went to the world champion Tigran Petrosyan chess school in Armenia. A lot of my homework was studies. Very difficult, but I had to do it. Spend hours and try to solve one position. Sometimes you're really stuck, and then you realize there is some idea, you start analyzing. This is, at that time we didn't have computers or anything. Now any position you see, you can solve in 2 seconds. You set up in chess space, you put engine, it will give you the answer. But when I was training, we didn't have computers or anything. So white to play and win. Normally in a position like this, if black king is safe and the queen is next to it, you can't really win a position like this unless you have some concrete way to win. But this is a very specific position here. White can actually win this. Okay? Not an easy position. So first let's calculate a little bit what white can do here to win. Obviously you either have to win the queen or mate him. That's the only way we can win in this position. There's not that much material left on the board.
first move.
Uh-huh. The first move is very natural.
Yeah.
First move is very natural. So let's put the first move in. Queen c7 check, right?
Yeah.
But he goes here. Now let's think now. Let's think of how we can try to follow it up. The problem here is if you just make a move with your knight, black queen is going to start checking you. And you don't have any pawns or any pieces that you can hide behind. So he will just start checking you all over the board. And then it's going to be a draw because you're going to have to either exchange your queen, it's going to be a draw. So you're really not going to have a place to hide your king. So that's why you have to be very careful when you allow him to check you. And I'm sorry? Excellent. Now, he has to play king b7. Why? Do you see the win here?
Queen b6.
Queen b6. If he goes here,
Knight c7.
very good. If he goes king c8,
Queen C7.
excellent. So he has to go here.
Knight c5.
Knight c5. Let's think. Let's think a little bit. You try to calculate.
I want to force him back into the corner, so I'm going to do knight to d8.
Well, knight d8. The problem is you run into this move.
Well, you know,
Okay. The move Jason is saying it's correct, but I want you to calculate a little bit. Okay. What's gonna happen after this check?
After his king move, though, couldn't you play queen a8 after knight d8?
Yeah, but the knight is kind of awkward here because it's it's kind of pinned.
yeah.
Well, now I think yeah, you go queen d5 maybe, but they're not placed the right way, you know, like it's not the right mechanism here, you know. You're not going to be able to. So the knight c5 is the correct move. Now, black is losing if he goes here. Do you see how?
Queen a4.
Skewer, queen a4. If he goes here, he's losing also because of skewer, a8. So he goes here. A lot of times when I set up this study for my students, they get to this, they think they're gonna go check, check, and mate. Because typically, when you reach the position like this, you go queen b6, queen b7, and it's mate. But here it's a little bit different. D7 square is guarded. So it's not like you can just go check, check, and wait, mate here.
Just can't go b6 check.
Queen b6 check. I can't go to the corner, right? Because you mate me. So I have to go here, right?
So check, so b7 check, and then queen, one more up, b8, mate.
Mate.
No, that's not mate. Yeah.
The black is exactly why. What you do is at a second number scale.
You know this one, eh?
yeah. Basically king d2.
Aha. So, it's important to know that not always, in order to win these positions, you have to go check, check, check. A lot of times your last move is a quiet move, like in this particular. There are many studies I can set up for you that final move is a quiet move. Sometimes you just need to pass the turn, okay, to your opponent. And, but here you have to do it carefully because I told you, you cannot allow him to check you. Because if he goes queen g4 check, g6 check, you're not going to win this game. He's going to start checking you. So you go king d2, quiet move. Now, king cannot move, right? So the only piece can move is the queen. Now let's see where the queen can move it. And again, keep in mind, he needs to keep control of this square. So he doesn't have that many options. What is the only move he can make to keep control of this square without losing? And then we go back to your idea, because now his own piece is obstructing his queen. His queen is obstructing the king here, and he can't do anything. But I mean, again, it's almost impossible to find this if you don't practice studies, you know. You really have to practice and be familiar with this idea of quiet move. Not always it's going to be check, 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 and win. Those are kind of easy. But you go make a couple of important checks and then think about the quiet move, okay? Let's do this one more time. and I hope you will remember this position and the idea for many, many years. Okay, so let's start again. We start with, okay, who wants to say the first move? Go ahead.
Queen C7 check.
King A8. Remember, if he goes to B8, we go Queen B6. And then mate on C7 with a knight or queen. So he has to go here. Continue.
Knight C5 check.
Not knight D8. Knight C5 check. He has to go to B8. Otherwise, he loses the queen to a skewer. Queen B6 check. Can go to the corner. Queen B7 mate. Has to go here.
Queen B7 check.
Check.
King D2.
And the final move, the most difficult move to find here is the move King D2. You step back so the queen cannot check you, and you pass the turn. And he doesn't have any options here. If he moves away, he gets mated. The only way to keep control of that square is to go here, but then you check, and the queen is now controlling that square that king could have gone in the earlier line, okay, with the queen B8. All right. Okay, let's do one more. And anybody wants to write down this position, so they have this. This is the original position, okay? So if you want to write it down, this is it. King D3, Queen C4, Knight E6. Black king is on B8, Queen on E8. White to play and win, okay? Okay. So next position we have is this position. White to play. Yeah, white to play. What do you think white should be looking for here?
Queen to H4 or rook to H5. Checkmate.
Yeah, so I mean white should be aiming for a way to avoid getting mated. Queen H3 is coming. Right? So the problem is, even though you have two rooks, usually it's not weaker than the queen, but in this particular position the rooks are placed kind of awkward. And now he's threatening to mate you on H3 square. So he's threatening just to go here and mate. You have only one move that will help you to save this game. Any other move you make, you're gonna lose. Don't rush, let's think about it. You have to kind of think of an idea, how can you try to draw this game.
Rook G2.
King G2 or
Rook G2.
Rook G2 is losing. Do you see how? See, when you leave a rook unguarded, it's very risky. In an open board, you leave a piece unguarded, couple of checks, and then suddenly you can drop the rook. Okay? So you make sure you don't do that. Check, check, and you lose the rook, okay? That's the problem here. We don't have the freedom of moving our pieces because we are in danger of losing one of the rooks, and then we lose the game.
King G2.
Okay, let's don't rush. Let's not try to guess. If rook doesn't work, we move the king. Let's. That's not a very good way to find the solution. Yes. Rook H1.
Queen D3.
Alright, check.
King G1 check.
Up. See, rooks are awkward now. They're not connected. His king is in.
Or Queen G3.
Wait, wasn't it making one?
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was thinking about a different line where I was gonna use this, and it works here too. Okay. I'm sorry. I was looking at in this line. If you go here, you go check. This is what I was thinking, and then you win this way. Okay. Because no more checks, and then you get mated. And if you go here, black actually goes first here, forcing you to check, and then only he goes here to mate. Because if he goes here immediately, what do? Check. And then you connect, and it's draw. So it's all about consolidating the position for white. If he can do that, he can hold this, but
So,
he really can't do that. Yes?
so if you get, the other move I'm thinking, if I could get my king between my two rooks, because there's space just right, he'll never get his king in to help his queen mate me.
Okay, so what's the move?
King G2. And then I'm gonna go to E, to F1.
There's a problem with it.
F1.
Check.
Then F1,
You can't go here, right? Mate.
right, that's obvious.
So,
If I get to F1, I'm thinking, he can never bring his king across.
check.
He doesn't need
E.
Check.
Okay, then, so we can't fork.
See, the problem is I'm not going to let you step up to connect the rooks. And now you go, either side you go, you're going to lose one of your rooks now. That's the
I
problem.
was thinking he wouldn't be able to fork.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It was a fork. Okay.
The problem is our rooks are not coordinated well. They're not placed well here. Only one move can draw this game. Any other move? I mean, you almost mentioned all the moves now. Almost.
Oh, okay. So, rook to e1,
Which rook?
g rook to e1.
G rook to e1, correct. Obviously not c e1, right? Because I mentioned to you that there is a mate here.
That would be really bad.
Yeah. So rook to e1, okay, but it looks like, wait a minute. Check.
I didn't look at that one.
That's the main
I
move.
looked at queen to g3.
How about rook G3?
Queen checks.
Yeah, then you check with the other rook.
Here?
Well,
No, so you put.
will you be
Check just takes.
Oh,
Just kind of in there. So you're saying. Well,
You got the right move right here. You have to find the right move here.
King to h1.
King to h1, correct? Because if you go to g1, you lose after this move.
Right.
And you get mated again. So you go to h1 actually. And now he comes up.
Rook
And
to
now it
c-
looks like it's just gonna be over. Yeah, he's gonna mate you here. You can check here, you can check here. He takes both rooks. What do you do now? Where?
Rook c3.
Rook c3 check. Sacrificing the rook. He's got to take it because if he goes back, you solidify it and you cut the king off. He cannot mate you with the queen. He needs to use his king to do that. So now he's got to take it.
This stalemate. Yeah,
Rook e3 check.
yeah stalemate.
Stalemate. See? It didn't look like it's going to be that hard because not that many pieces on the board. But you really had to calculate this position that you're going to be able to reach. Okay? So let's do this one more time. Again, if you want to write this down, this is the position. King h2, rook g1, rook c1, king on h4 for black, queen on d3. White to play and draw. Okay, again, we start off with which move here?
Rook G1.
Rook ge1. Check.
King H1.
King h1. Yeah, in the studies you have to be very precise. You can't really do two different moves. It's usually only one solution. Have to be very precise. King h1 looks like now mate is going to be coming queen g2, queen h2. Now
C3 check.
rook c3 check, sacrificing the rook. He's got to take it.
Rook E3.
Now we go rook e3. And now he takes. And it's going to be a stalemate. Okay, everyone. Thanks for coming. And we will have some more lectures this week, so I hope you can come. Okay?
Thank you.